Cuba, it's me. Welcome to episode 292 of the W.I.L.L.I.W show, which stands for Wrestling is Life. Life is Wrestling. Now, yesterday I started a series where I'm going to go through each province and try and tell what I do know about the wrestling in that province and see if some of my viewers know more than me. And I'll try and do a little bit of research. So, this is part two. Yesterday I did British Columbia, and today I'm going to be focusing on Alberta. Now, to be quite honest, the extent of my knowledge of Alberta wrestling basically is Stampede Wrestling, the Hart family, and what Mike Hart has told me. And what I've read in the books. I've read Brett's book, Bruce's book, and Diana's book. And basically, that's all I know. I know that lots of people got their start. Like, Alberta has a great legacy for wrestling. Some of the best wrestlers ever have started there. Brett, Owen, British Bulldogs, most of the people that made it to the Fed back in the 80s and 90s, somewhere, somehow went through Calgary at one time. Stu Hart, obviously a legend, gave a lot of people their starts in the dungeon and training them. And since then, in my honest opinion, since Stampede closed, it hasn't been the same in Alberta. There's been one or two attempts at trying to get some kind of Hart thing going again, and it hasn't been that successful. There's always people that are upset about it or want it done this way or that way, so it never comes to fruition. So I checked to find out what I could about wrestling in Alberta, like what's currently active. Now, I know, like I said, in the past we had Stampede, and then they attempted to do Hart Legacy Wrestling. They attempted to do Power Zone Wrestling and Can-Am Wrestling. A couple of them did more than a couple years of shows, but none of those ones are working right now. And then obviously we have Lance Storm has his wrestling academy somewhere there in Alberta. I hope it's in Alberta. I'm just assuming that it's in Calgary, but I don't know that for sure, to be quite honest. But I guess I should have really done my research. But what I was able to find out is it says that there's four, one of the things I Googled searched is that there's 4 active promotions in Alberta. 3 of them in Edmonton, 1 in Lethbridge. And I know for sure 2 of them are active because one of them has a show January 6th, and one of them has a show like January 26th or 27th or something. The first one I was able to find was Monster Pro Wrestling. Now they have some kind of like a Facebook page and a website, so I checked them out, and they do indeed have a show coming out. I think it's tomorrow, actually. I can't remember which one's tomorrow and which one's the 26th. There is the Prairie Wrestling Alliance, PWA, that's in Edmonton, and Monster Pro as well is in Edmonton. Pure Power Wrestling, that's in Lethbridge, Alberta, and Real Canadian Wrestling was in Edmonton as well. Now, I should have wrote this down. I know Ed Gatsby, formerly known as the Gothic Knight, has his hand in one of those federations, but I don't remember which one. I should have put his name with something. I should have wrote take some notes. Here you go, folks. If you're going to do a show, try and be prepared. And I did. I tried to do my research, but I just, I don't have a lot of time, and I just try and wing it and try and memorize things as best as I can. And sometimes it doesn't work. Maybe I should write notes, but I don't want to be one of those guys reading the notes. I mean, there's been a couple episodes where I've had fan questions, and I have to do them, and I'm not making eye contact. But what do you guys know? Do you know any of the history of wrestling in Alberta? I'm sure most people know about the Hart family and Stampede Wrestling. Do you know anything else about that? Have you ever wrestled there? Have you ever watched any wrestling from there? I'd like to hear, like yesterday, Gordo and Mike Shea, among others, really came through on the British Columbia one, and Harry D as well. He always does. And they gave me some knowledge that I didn't know had, and I was surprised. None of the wrestlers from BC that I have on my Facebook even commented at all, but maybe because nobody was commenting about the current stuff, it was all about the old stuff. So I'm sure when I put this video out, everyone will be talking about the Stampede days, and that's what it's most remembered for, and the dungeon, and and the Hart family. But it kind of saddens me that, to me, when I think of wrestling in Canada, I think of Calgary and Alberta. And I'm surprised there's not more promotions, because, I mean, think of those shows back in the day. They used to get huge, and there's none in Calgary, 3 in Edmonton, 1 in Lethbridge. You think someone else would open a promotion out there. And as far as I know, the Lance Storm School is the only one that I could find. But I'd love to hear more for you. Like that's why I'm doing this, to maybe educate the viewers and educate myself even more. I'm only knowing what I've found on the internet. Anybody could do that, but some people don't have time for that. But I want to know a lot about this stuff, and I want to know why isn't wrestling like British Columbia had 5 active promotions that I could find yesterday when I did my episode, and this one only has 4, it says. But those things might not be right. You can't always believe the internet, but like I said, I did find proof that 2 of them actually are running shows because I found event pages for 2 of them, so it looked to be legit. And I want to hear from you guys. Any memories? Any stories? What do you know about the current scene? What about the history? Because as always, on the W.I.L.L.I.W show, like or you get a leg drop, comment or you get a clothesline, subscribe or you get a suplex. I'm your host, Elian Habanero. I love wrestling. Cuba.